All right. You got your tea going? You got your tea? Happy coronavirus day to you all. It's just a joke. Lighten up, Francis. A little bit hot. So I've been trying to get to a video, but you know, I'm busy. My electric bike I redid and is now in the Hawes Motorcycle and Sculpture Museum in Dallas. If you have a chance, go check it out. It came out just beautiful. It's such a cool bike. But anyway, it's not two-stroke stuff. But we have to learn and venture down new avenues in our lives. It can't just be singularly focused. Maybe it can for some people. I'm just not that good at it. I like a lot of balls. That didn't come out right. I was going to go with the whole juggling reference, but then it just came out weird. Let's not go with that. So, one thing I want to say before we talk about connecting rods and crankshafts is this channel is not selling you on anything. So I get lots of weird demands like of my time and people commenting not just on YouTube but elsewhere about things I'm building and that I'm trying, and I realize the whole our culture is based on constant advertisement. I'm not trying to advertise anything. I'm just documenting what I'm doing and sharing it with you. So hopefully some other people can watch my mistakes or victories maybe and learn from them. But I'm not trying to sell them. The piston thing may eventually end up being a product I make. But right now, it's not sorted yet. So back down on the demands. I don't have any ads. I don't have any sponsors. I'm not looking for anything from the viewers. I'm just sharing it. So if you want that, take it for what it is. And if not, then go fuck yourself. Because I don't care. Anyway, let's talk about connecting rods. Because anyway. So I've got connecting rods done. And I did some 120s for a 16 millimeter wrist pin and 120s for an 18 millimeter wrist pin. Just so I have some options. My plan is to have a different engine but run a regular off-the-shelf piston. I think it's for a YZ250 Yamaha piston that's still made, and then of course my own piston that I'll keep developing, but I want to have at least an opportunity to set records. Developing a new piston is trying in that I don't have a ton of time to have everything sorted out. So oftentimes I end up getting to the dry lake bed or whatever, and I'm not quite there. Like the rings didn't quite seal. But I don't want that, and so I'll continue to develop that, but I don't want it to shortchange me long term. So I'm going to have the other engine so I can still do both. That makes perfect sense, right? I don't know if it came out of my mouth, out of my teeth hole, but you got me. So the deal behind the connecting rods, so I made the connecting rods out of 8620, 9310, 8620, pretty close anyway. So the idea is that they're machined, they're copper plated, which you can still see the copper plating. But last time I stripped the copper plating off. I don't think I'm going to bother with it this time. And then I get them back from the heat treater that copper plates them, and I open up or I clean out the copper on both bearing bores. And I think I just used my hone, and I just slicked them over the hone until the copper was gone, and then set them back to them, and then they case harden them. And so they carburize them. So I put them back in the oven and I think that they use a carbon gas, but this is not new technology. You can put a piece of coal, I think, in the furnace, and the carbon in the coal will then penetrate into the surface, that bare metal surface, and then so that carbon content gives it enough when they then bring it up to temperature and quench it, gives a hard case hardening, roughly 20 or 30 thousandths deep. And then the copper, the reason you do the copper is dense enough that the carbon molecules can't get through. So the rest of the rod is roughly 38 RC, Rockwell on the C scale. So fairly hard, but not hard enough that you're going to break it. So it's got a nice hard core, but not overly hard. And then the bearing surfaces are like 60. Right, I asked for 60 plus or minus a couple, and I can't remember. I think they came out at 62, or so they claim. I haven't used. I've got a little Ames hard surface tester, which I haven't tried, and I have a little section piece, which I don't know where it is. Anyway, to test that, although I haven't done it. So, and then I put them back in the mill and interpolated. I've got a really cool end mill that's a hard turning end mill specifically for super hard materials. Not that this is super hard, but pretty hard. And I cut the bores, and so they came out pretty good. So we've got, small end, large end, ready to rock and roll. And then the crankshafts. Crankshafts are, I think we covered all the stuff on the rods, right? That all made sense. The crankshafts we do out of 4340. So they're all rough machined, or semi-finished maybe would be a better term. Now, originally when I did these, I asked the two-stroke community what a proper balance is. It's 50%, which is 50% of the reciprocating weight. So you take half of the connecting rod, wrist pin, bearing, piston, rings, and it's 50% of that is the offset amount. And I really couldn't get, which is standard on four-stroke stuff, I couldn't really get a solid answer from anybody on two-stroke stuff. So I sort of guessed at it, and it stays together and seems to be okay. So I did the same with these. And these are kind of the same thing, except for we don't carburize this. Since we don't have a bearing surface, we're going to have a pin pressed in. So these are 4340 through hardened, and then the same kind of process. They come back, except for the copper plate and stuff. They come back, and then I machine the bores to size. And I use the same end mill, which was pretty miraculous that I didn't even wear that end mill out doing all the connecting rods. So I did the cranks too, and it still seems and looks like it hasn't even worn through the whatever nitrite coating it has, some wazoo fucking whatever. But so this came out really good. I left, I think, 4th thou press. Maybe it was 4.5 thou press on connecting rod pins and main pin. So this, of course, is the center. This is a ignition side taper. So I have left, these of course are done, and I still have to put these in the lathe and turn them. And then I've got all the bearings, I've got all the pins, so we can start putting cranks together here pretty quick. Oh, and the hardness on these, I think I went 40. I think it was 38 to 42. So it was a nice core hardness, not overly hard. I think that's about it. I've got new case that I'm machining in the machine. Things have been a little bit slow. My guess is they're probably going to get a little bit slower. I bought my one lathe I've got has been just swamped with work, and I can't get pistons on them. So I bought another lathe. Now the cool thing about the other lathe is it's got live tooling. So I can do a lot of the, say windows on the skirts and things all in one operation on the lathe, which would be really cool. And so maybe in this next week or two, as things slow down and we're all kind of staying away from each other. I scratch my nose. I don't wash my hands and I scratch my face a lot. I'm just kidding. But maybe I'll get a little bit of time to start knocking out pistons for this next year's engine. I've been short on time, trying to get parts made, customer parts made, and the electric bike redone and refinished to my standards and my level of what I think where I am. But and I think, have we covered everything? I think that's it. I'm a little leery that we're even going to be racing this year. Although I'm going to be as ready as as I ever am. I'll try to get everything together and be out there, prepared and out there. But unless this whole virus thing kind of goes away, we might be in, like all the other racing organizations have basically shut down, and we might be in the same. Hopefully, maybe we can get past this curve of infections and kind of get back to a normal life before we all go broke and we're in all sorts of trouble. But anyway, I think that's it. I think we've covered all this stuff for now. So we'll see you on the next video. Don't get butthurt. Stay strong. We're all going to get through this. We're all going to live. We're all going to be okay. It's all not a big deal. We might have to, cinch the belts a little bit more, but we're tough. We're tough individuals. So be safe and don't get yourself all worked up and infected and shit. All right? Good to talk to you, folks.